If your tolerance for BS is shrinking, well then congratulations, because that's a good sign that the masks are slipping. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Menopause Monday. My name is Kate, I'm 54, have never taken HRT and aim to share a wide range of holistic and physical and emotional videos with you on here to support you through your journey, whether you're taking HRT or not. Today we're talking about something that's equally liberating, might make you feel slightly uncomfortable, and one that is absolutely necessary. What I like to call the Great Midlife Unmasking. It's not a phase, it's a reveal. And if you felt like you're shedding your layers lately, emotional, physical, spiritual, thinking, who am I? Where am I going? What is this all about? This is likely you coming home to yourself. It is the reckoning. You may be noticing that you no longer have tolerance for, just the clutter, the rubbish, the people that you used to put up with and you no longer can, for the nonsense, the noise, and the shoulds and the ought tos. You might find that you're a little bit snappier. You might find that you're quieter. Maybe you suddenly started questioning some of the main relationships that you have in your life, your work, your whole darn wardrobe. This isn't a chaotic ending. This is just a reordering. And I think it's a completely natural part of this phase of life. And I really see menopause not just as this physical thing where you get the brain fog, you get the hot flushes, you get the night sweats, you might get the weight gain, all the typical menopause symptoms. There's so many of them, the itchy skin, dry mouth, da-di-da-di-da. I really do see this as a transition in our life where we start to remove those masks. Sometimes they peel away gently and sometimes they hit the ground with a very hard thud. And just talking about masks in a bit more detail, I think we spend our entire life, particularly when we're younger, we put on these masks depending on the people that we're communicating with. So you may wear a different mask for your parents. You might have a different mask for your significant other. You may have a different mask for your children. You may have had a mask that was the people pleaser. You may have had the mask that was the avoid the confrontation person. For instance, a lot of us, I think, are people pleasing, and you end up smiling when really inside you're either boiling under the surface or you're thinking, I really actually want to kick this person in the shin, but I'm just going to smile and politely walk away. It might be the mask of perfectionism. I'm guilty of that one. And it just nibbles away at you. It burns you out. It's quite overwhelming. It's an unreachable goal and it serves no purpose. It could be the mask of self-betrayal when you're saying yes to something and literally every cell in your body is saying, say no, but you don't. You say yes. And menopause is really like the time when the seams begin to split. It's almost like the stage manager saying quietly in your ear, come on, it's time to drop the masks now and reveal who you really are. And our bodies are wise. They're not betraying us. It's just that we're not listening to the signals, and things do change through menopause and beyond. It is a transition. And when we're feeling that, that the symptoms we're struggling with or our thought processes that we're struggling with, it's often because we're still trying to tie into that identity who we were before menopause. And of course, you're still the same individual, but it is about embracing that transition and probably doing less and giving yourself a bit more downtime. Don't worry, that's not going to make you lazy. But it's when we do shed these layers, and it can be very liberating. It can ruffle feathers a little bit, but ultimately, if it aligns with who you are as an individual, if it aligns with your true values in life, then that's only good, isn't it? It can only serve you positively. When we have this disconnect, when we have this build-up of stress in our bodies, and stress is one of the worst things for your menopause experience, when we are living a life that isn't in complete alignment with the type of individual we are, or that we have decided we want to step into, the kind of life that we cherish, that we want to nurture. I mean, I don't know about you, I could live on the top of a mountain in a small shack surrounded by nature and never see a human again. I think I'd be quite happy doing that. And it really depends on what you want individually too. We're all really, really different. So, what suits me probably wouldn't suit you. But it is about understanding and having a good idea of what is it that you specifically want. What do you want from your life? And when you feel like your life is fulfilling that, or the things around you are fulfilling that sort of life that you want to have, it's amazing how much more contented you feel, how that peace starts to seep into your bones. And that stress response gets brought down to a level that's more manageable. And when that stress response comes down, you'll find it'll have such a positive impact on literally every single menopause symptom that you might be struggling with right now. You may have a lower tolerance for things that annoy you. You might find that your tolerance level of stuff, of nonsense, has completely gone through the floor. And that's no bad thing. That's just nervous system wisdom. It's not you becoming more ratty, and we put negative spin on these things. It's like, oh, she's in a bad mood. Oh, she's irritable. Oh, she has no tolerance. Oh, she flies off the handle. She's got the menopause rage. Well, how about that is just a result of the build-up of all these things that are no longer serving you. Because you can imagine you're living a life where you're not feeling satisfied, you're not feeling content, you're not feeling at peace. So, of course, these things are going to niggle you more. And I really do feel as we start to allow these masks to fall off, rather than being ashamed of maybe our emotional outbursts and the odd rage moment. I mean, these, again, it's all data. It's just an indication that there's something that's frustrating you, making you angry, that's not supporting you. So don't feel ashamed about these things. Just think, okay, what could that be a signpost of? What was that outburst for? Why did I feel so frustrated? And it might be that your communication needs to become a little bit more brutally honest with the people around you. Take them a little bit of time to actually accept that or understand the new you coming out. Doesn't mean you need to be rude. It doesn't mean you need to be aggressive, but it does mean that you can assert yourself politely, kindly, gently, and help them understand your needs. Because I think also we're our own worst enemies. We expect everybody to be the mind reader, and at the end of the day, we have not got the energy to try and explain ourselves to everyone and explain something we probably don't even understand ourselves. So rather than trying to become too therapeutic about your own condition right now, just see your moods and how you're showing up in life. What are those telling you? Because if you're irritable, that's probably born out of frustration. What's causing that frustration? If you're angry, it's probably because people are not respecting your boundaries. You may not be respecting your boundaries. You may not be asserting them well enough or clearly enough that people actually understand what those boundaries are. It might be that you just need to say on a Tuesday evening or afternoon or Sunday, whenever it is, I need 5 hours to myself to recalibrate, to just spend time by myself and to do the things that I want to do. You know, it's a really weird thing that we hear of mum guilt all the time, don't we? Is there such a thing as dad guilt? I think as women, we're the worst at it. It's, the menopause rage. But men go through their midlife too. We don't have the male menopause rage. They're not feeling ashamed of flying off at the handle, but we do. So give yourself a break. Let it be easier for you to express yourself. One of the things that I do in my therapeutic practice, I specialize in anxiety and also grief. Been a psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, Reiki healer for over 20 years. When I find or when I have a client that's got some communication difficulties in their family, what I suggest to them is the feather technique. And actually, if you've got my book, The Daily Renewal, there's a page on that and about a communication with this feather technique. But essentially, what happens is you sit around, however many of you who want to sit around, and the person who has the feather, who holds the feather, any old feather, doesn't need to be anything amazing, that person holds the space. So you are allowed to talk. So if you're holding the feather, you're allowed to talk for the allotted time, and maybe you allocate 10, 15 minutes per person. And it allows you to have the gaps when you're thinking without somebody butting in, because how confusing and distracting and annoying is that? It allows you to say from your heart what you need to happen, what is your experience of things. And I would also really urge you, if you're in this, to come from a point of I am rather than you make me, because you make me makes people feel defensive. And it's down to us how we respond. Things are always going to be crappy out there, and we do have a large degree of choice over how we respond to these things. So come from a point of I am, and then when you've had your 10, 15 minutes of talking, you hand the feather across. Without any interaction before, the next person gets to talk. And then when you've all had your chance to talk, I would go make a cup of tea or coffee or pour a glass of wine or whatever it is that you like to do, and then regroup, because it is so revealing. But it's a really calm way of having a conversation and getting your point across without the constant interruption. And communication is absolutely key. And as we're going through this transition in our life, it helps you understand your needs too, because often we're so busy, we're so frazzled, and we're sort of running from pillar to post. And then we have, maybe that interaction with somebody, and then we're feeling guilty because we're replaying it in our minds. And should I have said that? Yes, I should have said that. Should I have said that? Oh, I feel guilty for saying that, but I should be saying that. And we do. We go round and round and round and round and round. And you might replay that thing 5 to 10 days. Well, how much of your energy is being wasted on that? If you're having this feather technique, or you can just have these conversations where you allow each other to talk without interruption, then it enables you to you could even say, oh, look, I felt really guilty for having said what I said to you the other day, but I felt so frustrated. And I don't even know why I felt so frustrated. I think it's because I'm tired, I'm not sleeping very well. I feel like my body's changing. It's going through things I don't really understand myself. And I don't have any magic answer, but I need you to understand that I still love you. And, blah, 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 however that conversation might go. It might be that I've decided I don't want you in my life anymore. So take this blessed feather and clear it off. You have to find what works best for you. But when you have these conversation moments, not only are you expressing what your needs need to be, you're hearing what their needs need to be. And also, as you're talking, it allows you to unravel, because it's a peaceful, calm time just for you. So I highly urge you to do the feather technique. And it's a really powerful technique. It's very gentle, it's mutually respecting. And if somebody will not allow you to talk during your 10 to 15 minutes, well, that's a serious issue. And that might be why you feel like throwing the saucepan at them, or maybe why you did. Often I speak to women, and I feel it myself sometimes, and you have that fatigue, which a good night's sleep won't fix. And that is just because you're over functioning. The busy brain, the replays, the very busy life, the chaotic life, the not feeling peaceful in your life, that causes that sense of fatigue. And it's something that's a sign to you that you need to change things, and you need to make those changes fast. Because if you're waking up feeling fatigued in the morning, that's a real indication that your adrenal health is not great. And eventually your adrenal health will go, and you will have what they call the breakdown, and you don't want that to happen. And I like to talk about the sort of metaphor of a costume party. Like life is a bit like a costume party. You've got the good girl gown, you've got the busy mum cape, you've got the smile and be useful mask. And then menopause comes along, midlife hits, and it's like somebody flinging open the door, all the fresh air comes rushing in, and somebody says, right, take the masks off, get the gowns off, you're on your own now. Wear whatever you like. And you're thinking, yeah, but I've had to wear all these things. I've been told, I've been directed to wear all these types of different things throughout my life so far. So what the heck is my style? What do I like to wear? How does my face look when I haven't got a mask on? And that moment of not knowing, that's your starting point. So how do you navigate this? Firstly, name what's falling away. Notice the roles, the obligations, maybe even the relationships that are no longer feeling aligned with you. Rest in the discomfort. It is messy, but nobody said it was going to be not messy. And if you give yourself time to reflect and to think on these things, then the clarity does come. And be honest with yourself, really ask yourself, where am I still fulfilling a role that really isn't me anymore? Where am I trading myself to fit into somebody else's idea of who I am or the life that they want. And choose gentle language for yourself rather than seeing it as falling apart or having the breakdown or losing it all. See it as falling into alignment. This really is about defining or redefining what life means to you, one layer at a time, one mask removal at a time, as you start to understand who it is you are at your core and the life that you want to live and the values that support that life that you want to live. Get curious about what feels false. Often we get so used to just doing the stuff, on default without thinking about it. So start to think about those things that you do automatically and get a sense of, does this support me? Or is it running me into the ground? And lower the bar, not on your standards, but on the pressure, especially in the way that you talk to yourself. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to rip off all the masks, all the costumes, and run through the village naked, crying out, this is who I am. However, if you do want to do that, please let me know and I'll come and run naked with you. But maybe today just consider the roles, maybe the masks that you're wearing, and start to peel one off. Have the courage and the awareness to say no to something that no longer serves you. Try it and see. Saying no, particularly if you're not used to saying no, can feel really clunky and you'll probably feel guilty after it too. But it is so liberating. And it's one of those things, it's like lifting weights. The more you practice saying no, not to be objectional, but just to make sure that you're living in alignment with what you want, that no gradually becomes easier. And the people who are receiving your no, it makes them wake up too. Because we all tend to live this life through the habits and the sort of fog and the haze. And you becoming more aware of your life will also have a positive impact on those whose lives are also closely aligned, either by your heart or proximity, and they will benefit from it too. I always think it's interesting to, if from where you are now, if you could send a message to your younger self, maybe 10, 20, 15 years ago, something like that, what would that message be? Because that reveals so much about where your life is right now. And so whatever that message would be, please, if you feel like you'd like to share it in the comments, I would love to read them. I read all your comments anyhow, but it would be really fascinating to hear what your message to your younger self would be. But that also contains a clue as to where your life is right now. So thank you for your company today. I hope this has been helpful. I talk a lot about the physical sides and the physical aspects and some of the mental health aspects of menopause. But until we can define really who we are at our core, and we can reframe some of the ways we are looking at things, considering ourselves in the greater plan, that really and literally underpins everything. Because if you feel like you're not worthy, if you see yourself as, they can do that, but I'll never be able to do that, your identity will control the outcome of pretty much everything, even so far as something simple like, weight loss. So many women through midlife find that they're piling on the pounds and they can't understand why. But a lot of them also in their subconscious mind, or they don't see themselves as actually anybody who would be able to lose that weight and feel healthier and stronger. Because in their mind's eye, they're still seeing themselves as possibly they are. So when your identity can shift, and even the potential of your identity can shift, that has a profound impact on how you show up every single day. That's why hypnotherapy is so powerful, because that's often a large part of where we focus our energy on during a hypnotherapy session, is the identity of that individual and also the beliefs that that individual has, as well as environment and behavioral things and their capacity and their abilities, etc. But your self-identity and your self-belief underpins pretty much everything that happens to you. And so I'm going to sort of evolve this. I will still keep talking about the physical stuff because it's so important, but I really also want to evolve this sort of Menopause Monday into something that talks much more about, finding you at your core, because I think it's absolutely fundamental. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't really consider. And I honestly believe that when you can feel settled at your core and you have a really strong idea of who you are, creating a life in alignment with what you want, that is the foundation where everything else comes from. So I hope you found it helpful. Thank you for your company, and I'll look forward to seeing you next Monday.